It's been over 2 years since I took what felt like the biggest leap of my life. I quit my 9 to 5. I left the comfort and security that the job brought me, and I ventured out to become a full-time creator. Looking back, it wasn't just a career move, it was a faith move. I was betting on myself and daring to trust God in ways that I've never done before. I really do not know what to say, but I joined this team, 2 months ago? But it's been a great ride. Thank you so much, Sean, for everything. This was always going to be temporary. It's been about 15 months that I've been working here. But I'm thankful for the opportunity. I'm glad that, I was even bold enough to make the decision. You never know if you don't try, and I just want to try. And I'm not saying never, ever, to the corporate world. I don't know, maybe sometime later. But for now, I think it's that time for me to pursue my dreams and purpose, and I hope everything goes well. Today, I want to share with you not just how I did it, not just how I quit my 9 to 5, but the challenges I faced along the way, what I've learned, and if it was even worth it in the first place. What does it look like to truly trust God with your everything? Leaving a steady job isn't a decision that I made overnight. I don't think that's a decision anyone makes overnight. There's been thinking and long hesitation and prayers and conversations with people that I trust. I just had to be certain. I had to be sure. I knew that God was taking me through a different path, but then, when your mind just plays tricks on you, are you really hearing from God? I kept asking myself, is this really what God wants for me? But then I realized that the more I was working in that job, there was a pull towards something more freeing, something more creative, something that's actually aligned with purpose. I felt like God was telling me, I have something for you. Take the leap. Trust me. And so after countless moments of questioning, going back, asking, I finally did it. I took the leap. I quit my job. I quit my 9 to 5. I walked away knowing fully well that I would have to trust God to help me decide what's next. I cannot be in charge of my life anymore. Entrepreneurship actually teaches you to trust God wholeheartedly. There's some sort of security that comes with having a 9 to 5 where you know that at least I'm going to get paid 2 weeks from now or a month from now. There's money coming from somewhere. But then when you're working for yourself, when you're doing your own thing, when you're running your own business, that security isn't quite there anymore. That reliance, thinking that it is your job that is providing for you, is basically cut off. I had to be certain. I had to know that it was God all the way. Now, I want us to talk about the first year's struggles and the lessons I've learned along the way. If I'm being completely honest, the first year was really humbling. It was really, really humbling. But I think that my mind could be distracted from that because that was also the year that I was getting married. So I had quit my job in April of 2022 and I was getting married in December of the same year. So my mind was basically free from having to think about, okay, you don't have a job. I was occupied with actually just wedding planning all the way. Thankfully, I wasn't paying for my wedding. My parents and my husband's parents paid for our wedding, so that really helped a lot. We didn't have the stress, the pressure to be like, okay, why are we even doing this? In my mind, I thought I was prepared to leave my job. But the truth is, nothing can actually prepare you for the grind. Nothing can prepare you for not having a steady income. I was spending hours and hours planning, thinking, what am I going to do? What is it that I have to do next? A lot of rejections from brands that I wanted to work with. If you guys don't know, I quit my job to do content creation full time. I don't know if I mentioned that before, but brands are brutal, right? Because they're like, why should we trust you with our brand? We don't see anything from you that looks substantial. It was a lot of learning as I went through the journey. But every single time that I felt like quitting, I just felt this reassurance in my spirit that, God is with you. He didn't say that tough times will not come. He said that he will be with you through the tough times. I feel like this is a reason why a lot of people quit. We're not able to actually trust God through the tough times. We're not able to trust God with everything. But for me, it was like I felt God saying, Brandy, just keep going. You're exactly where you need to be. A lot of people quit their job saying, oh, I want to do influencing. I want to be a content creator. But I think that that I learned the hard way that this job is not just about creating content. It's about marketing yourself. It's about building your own business. It's about resilience most of all. Resilience most of all. You know, when you have a job, it's like 9 to 5. You have to wake up, you have to shower, you have to go to work, or if you work from home, you have to actually show up. Now, if no one is telling you to show up, but let me tell you something, if you do not show up, you do not eat. Do you not want to eat? If you know you want to eat, you better be showing up. And if I'm being brutally honest, the times that I fail have taught me way more than the times that I've actually succeeded. I learned that faith isn't passive. There's action required of you. Faith is active. Faith is trusting God's plans when things aren't going your way. Faith is trusting God's plans when you don't know what's next. Faith is trusting God's plans even when you do the right things and they're not yielding the result that you expect.
So our faith should be our reputation. What is faith? Believing. We still believe. Everyone we know in the Bible, we know them because of what they went through. Can I suggest to you that heaven's Hall of Fame is a Hall of Fame of faith? You read Hebrews chapter 8. Yes, it talks about faith, all that good stuff. And then it's in chapter 11, it talks about what faith is. And then in chapter 12, it tells you all these guys who are in the Hall of Fame. You know what makes you famous in the kingdom of God? Not the pictures they take of you, or the articles in the magazines, or all the stuff they give you, or the plaques, or the PhD. What makes you famous in heaven is what you made it through. Being a kingdom citizen doesn't give you immunity from tests and trials. Fight the good fight of what? Faith. That's important. The Lord told me to come back and tell you as a people and as a ministry, as a church, don't believe God because of what he does for you. And don't doubt God because of what he didn't do for you. You believe God because of who he is to you.
I remember that I started on TikTok at the time. I had an Instagram account, so I was constantly posting. I was also on YouTube. My TikTok was growing. It felt like my YouTube wasn't growing. And then my Instagram started picking up. It's a lot of things. Like, I was doing the work, but I wasn't seeing the results from the work that I was doing in some certain areas. But I trusted God nonetheless. That is faith. So I know that I'm talking about all of this and it sounds like, oh, things are now going great. Oh, this, you know, la 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 la. And I feel like if I didn't have certain things in place before I made that leap, I would have regretted it. And I want to talk about some of the things that I had put in place, or some of the things that even God put in place for me. And the first one is financial planning. Before I decided to quit my job, I made sure to have a little bit of savings, an emergency fund that would carry me for a couple months before I would even realize, oh my God, I've not paid rent. I had some money stashed away, and I think that really, really helped me to make that transition. So I'll say, don't just quit your job blindly. You actually have to plan. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So you better be planning, okay? And the second thing that helped me actually was having a supportive partner. This is why I said that God gave this to me. I didn't quite do anything to deserve this. God gave me a supportive partner. Obviously, I couldn't take this step without having the approval of my fiance, who's now my husband. He needed to be on board with me. He needed to see the vision. He needed to hear from God himself as well. And every step of the way, my husband will remind me, then fiance, now husband, will remind me that we're in this together. He trusted my visions. He trusted my dreams, probably even more than I did. Knowing that he believes in me, he supports me emotionally, he supports me financially, he supports me spiritually, even in prayers. Knowing that I have somebody that I can rely on, that is part of the reason why I'm succeeding today. If I didn't have that, I don't know that I wouldn't have gone back to get just any job because I need to eat. If you don't have someone in your corner and someone constantly reminding you that you're exactly where God needs you to be, it's difficult to keep on trusting. I want to tell you freely that I'm not yet where I want to be. And I'm completely okay with that because I understand that this is a journey. It's not a destination. It's a step by step by step process. If I look back at 2022, am I the same Brandy? In fact, Brandy didn't even exist in 2022. I think I used to refer to myself as Brandy Circle on YouTube. I was Oyinade _ on Instagram. And then I was Oyin.ade1 on Twitter, which is now X. I was very different people in different areas until I decided to, consolidate and just just be Oyinade Brandy. Oyinade Brandy didn't even exist about 3 years ago. I didn't exist. Well, I did. I was born. But Oyinade Brandy as a brand didn't exist. And the truth is that if you spend a lot of your time on social media, if you spend a lot of your time comparing yourself to other people, you realize real quick that there's a lot of pressure in our society to make it overnight. But let me tell you that if you make it overnight, you're probably not going to last on the scene. I've learned that true growth comes a step at a time, a step at a time. Now it's 2024, and I think that I'm having a very, very clear understanding of what all of this was about from the beginning. I'm starting to see that the real purpose behind me quitting my job wasn't even for making money. It's not about the brand partnerships. It's not about being famous. It's not about all the things that I maybe thought it was about before. It's really about creating an impact. It's really about being a blessing to other people. I've come to realize that this path that God has placed me in is actually a ministry in and of itself. Sharing my life, sharing my story, sharing my experiences. It's really so that God can reach the people that He's placed to watch me. I say this all the time, but let me reiterate it here that there are so many people's lives that are actually connected to your obedience to God. Sometimes I just take a look back and say, what if I didn't take this path? What if I didn't do this? And there are so many things like Lady in Bloom that, I did this year that wouldn't have happened if I was, just stuck behind a desk. With sharing my story, I've created a space where others feel seen, inspired, where others feel like they are loved, where they can come to be encouraged. And to me, that's the part that makes it all worth it. Well, I cannot count the amount of DMs I've received since I started doing content creation full-time about how me just sharing a part of my life is impacting other people, how me being vulnerable is helping other people realize that, they can trust God too, they can walk in purpose. The Bible says that we should trust Him, we should trust God with all our hearts, that we should not lean on our own understanding. A lot of times we like to just trust in ourselves a little bit too much, or trust in man, trust in a job. But at what point do you actually start trusting in God? And this is not me saying that if you have a 9-to-5, you're not working in purpose, because you really can be working in purpose with a 9-to-5. But it is coming back to realizing that it is not that 9-to-5 that is providing for you. It is God using that as a channel. It is God using that as a channel. So when I get positive testimonials from people, when I hear that the things I do is living a positive and lasting impact, that's what makes all of this worth it. That's what makes it all worth it. Now, if there's anything that's totally out of your comfort zone that God has told you to do, let me just tell you a few things that helped me and a few things that I know would surely help you. The first thing is to trust God's timing. I know that sounds extremely difficult, especially when it looks like other people are making it and then you're behind, or if it looks like, your peers have gone ahead of you and you're just playing catch up. Trust God's timing. He knows what is best for you. The Bible tells us that God's plans for us are for good and not for evil. We serve a good Father. Everything that He's doing, as long as you are living in obedience, just believe that you are exactly where God will have you be. God's timing is absolutely perfect. Just make sure that you allow Him to actually open up the right doors for you. Don't force doors to open. Don't try to work it out yourself. Just trust God. Just let Him do His thing. The second thing is bet on yourself fully. And what does this mean? Even if others don't see or others do not understand what it is that you're doing, as long as you believe it, as long as you know what you're aiming for, as long as God is behind you, go for it. Trust yourself to the max. And trust me, betting on yourself fully does not mean that you have all the answers from the beginning. What it means is that you are trusting in God to show you one step at a time, and you are diving in head first. Don't let fear cripple you. Don't let fear steal things from you. Don't let comparison steal your joy. Just bet on yourself. You are exactly where you need to be. Number 3 is to stay consistent even when it's hard. For example, if you're like me and you are trying to, become a creator or whatever, sometimes you have posted 5 videos, 10 videos, high quality videos that actually make sense, and nobody's watching, or you think nobody's watching, or it's not doing as well as you want it to do. Your success is in that consistency. You have to stay there. You have to keep on doing it. You know that before you can tell yourself that you have failed in anything, you must have been doing that thing consistently for 2 years. Now let me ask you, have you been doing what you're doing consistently for 2 years before you decided to quit? If not, stay, continue doing it. So what consistency does, especially if you're a creator, is that it helps you build trust. It helps you build trust with brands, with people that follow you, people that watch you. And then all of a sudden, when other people start finding you, you have a whole community of people being like, oh, we've been here trusting her. Maybe it's not being a creator for you. Maybe it's something else. Maybe God is telling you to go start a podcast or start a ministry, and maybe you're even still at your job. I don't know, whatever your situation may look like, and it seems like that thing is not working out. Although God has said it, the results that you expect is not what you're seeing. My word for you is stay. Just stay and keep pushing. Now, before I go ahead to end this video, I just want to say a huge thank you to every single person that has supported Oyinade Brandy all the way. Some of you might have supported me from 2016, some of you maybe 2019, some of you 2020. I'm remembering just like my big milestones, and the biggest milestone would have been from 2022. Wherever or whenever you started watching Oyinade Brandy, I want to say a big thank you, because you are part of the difference that is coming. You are part of this journey, this life that is changing. You are part of the story. Thank you for the encouragement. Thank you for every like. Thank you for every comment. Thank you for every way that you have supported me. Thank you for every ad that you have watched. You've all been a part of this journey, and I can only but say thank you. I love you, OT Nation, and until we meet again in the next video, I hope that you will stay trusting God. I hope that you would allow Him to help you through whatever it is that you're going through. I know Christians, we like to say, oh, I'm in this season, but whatever that season represents for you, I hope that you are doing it with God. I hope that you are not trying to do it by your own strength, by your own flesh, by your own abilities. My word for you today is trust God and trust Him wholeheartedly.